Hello everyone, I am Mark Utter and I type to communicate. Oh, I know it is odd for me to have a talk show, but I was inspired by Megan O'Rourke to use CCTV as a format for continuing to meet and talk with people. Here is some background information about me. I have been someone profoundly affected by not being able to communicate. I always wanted to be part of what was going on around me but got no avenues of access aside from what people made up for me. 8 years ago I used my developing skills and supported typing to write, direct and star in my own movie. It shows me in the ways I don't fit into daily life unless I am able to access my mind and share its contents by painstakingly typing my thoughts. It's called I Am In Here, a view of my daily life with intelligent suggestions for improvement from my intelligent mind. After creating the film, I have moved into a higher place of creativity. I now have a company called Utter Communication Strategies. You can find it on the internet at www.utterenergy.org. There I have a blog I hope you'll read when you visit. Writing is my art form and my vehicle for saying all of my observations about human interactions. I am delighted that today in the CCTV studio I have with me a fellow writer and a really fun performer and good cab driver. In my movie he performed the part of my van driver. I also enlisted his stardust for a fundraiser during the final push of our Kickstarter campaign. It was at the Off Center for the Performing Arts, which is right downstairs. I more than anything value this man as a friend. Oh, please join me in welcoming 7 Days columnist Jernigan Pontiac to the second episode of The Uttering Mind.
Well, thanks for having me, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here. It's I'm really glad you asked me.
I am delighted we are together today and would love a dear accounting of how Emily and I met you.
Sure. I could do that. Let's see. It was quite a few years ago when you were in the development of the movie, and you reached out to the community and people to raise money to produce your movie. And I didn't know you or Emily, but I got a call from Emily, and I don't know exactly how she got the idea, but she got the idea that I would be a good person to help with this fundraising that you were doing, and you were going to have an event, and asked me if I would be the guest speaker. Now, I'm a cab driver. Now, I'm a writer, and I'm known for that, but I'm a cab driver, so my time is taken up cab driving, and I get asked to do a fair amount of things. And Emily sounded very sweet, and it sounded interesting, the project, but I said no. Because thank you for thinking of me, but I just don't have the time. And then I think what happened is I kind of looked into more about who you were and what you were doing and what you were about, and I just started feeling that I almost needed to do it more than wanted to do it. I was drawn in by the energy and the love around your project, and I knew I just shouldn't worry about my time, and I should just say, yes, I'll do it. And I think what happened is, I think this was just a coincidence that a few days later, Emily needed a cab ride, and she called me for a cab drive, and I think that's when I said, you know what, I know I said no, but I can't say no, I have to say yes. And that's how I got hooked up with you. And I think we maybe got together at least once before the fundraising event. And then the fundraising event was just wonderful with Paul Schnabel and being there with everyone. And that was great. And that's when we began to become friends.
Yes. We are friends. And yes, we are friends, and that means a lot to me as a human and a writer. I wonder if you could talk some about how you became a writer.
I sure can. I was a cab driver for years before I started writing. And I never studied writing, but I always had a flair. You know, I always knew I could communicate well with writing, probably far better than I could verbally. I was very comfortable writing. And I would always be telling my cab driver stories, because every cab driver has a lot of stories. And I think a good friend of mine suggested to me that perhaps I could write them down. Like, that would be, you know, they're interesting enough. And that, you know, when they say a light bulb goes up above your head, that was like, wow, that's a great idea. And that's what got me started. I wrote some sample columns, and I hooked up with a paper called Vermont Times, and then later 7 Days, since the year 2000. But that's on a surface level. On a deeper level, which I may not have realized at the time, and I think you may share this, we may share this, there was thoughts and feelings bubbling in me, which in retrospect, I obviously had a great need to share with others, to connect with others, to communicate with others. And it was a big feeling because I've now written hundreds of stories. I've been writing these stories now for 18 years. I do some other writings as well, but primarily I'm known for my stories, my hacky column in 7 Days. So that propelled me to write, the desire to explore feelings and thoughts and connections between people, and the nature of love and the nature of connection and the nature of heart. I mean, these very big subjects. That's what my column is. It's me delving into that and me sharing, maybe not explicitly, maybe between the lines, but that's really the subtext, if I could use a writer word, of what the hacky column is about.
I love that. I love that description of having a feeling well up at you and releasing it through writing.
Mm.
Let's talk about. Let's talk about your experience being an owner of Morph Transit.
Oh, yes. Yes, Morph Transit. This was in the early 80s. I started a company that used vans as taxis. And I'm proud to say, now you see that a lot. You see a number of cab companies using vans, but I was the pioneer of that. I was the first guy to think up, wow, you could use a vehicle and transport 10 people at once. So that's what really launched my company in the 80s, which I later sold, but for 10 years I ran a company called Morph Transit, and I employed a lot of people. I had about 10 vehicles. You know, now the work I do is I'm a solo cab driver. It's just me and my one cab. But for 10 years, I ran a pretty big cab company. And we did a lot of work for the ski areas, for IBM, for the UVM athletic teams. Yeah, so that's what kind of launched me in the taxi business in Burlington. I didn't know you knew about Morph.
How? Did it How did it prepare you for your role in my movie?
Well, I guess we could call it typecasting, they call it in the movie, because in your movie, I played a van driver who drove you. Actually, I drove you to the wrong place, if I remember. But that was part of the plot of the movie. Yeah, so it was, it was perfect preparation for my movie debut in your great movie. Yeah.
How? Did you? How did you enjoy the experience?
It was great. I was so happy that you invited me into it. It was my first and only experience being on, like, it was a real, well, it wasn't, it was on location, but, you know, all the people, and it was just seeing all these people who were so interested in helping you and supporting you in your project. And it was a little nerve-wracking, a little, you know, I was a little bit nervous because I had never the last time I acted was in 6th grade. I was the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz. So it had been a long time between my acting performances, but it was, you know, as again, it was, I was playing what I do for a living. But, and you made me feel comfortable because you were so comfortable and at ease about the whole thing. So yeah, it was a really great experience to be in a real movie.
I'm recalling that you had kind of a whole scene planned out, that you had Jim film in the van. That ended up not getting in there, but it was really great that you were like, I think it really should be like this. Like, you definitely had ideas.
I did. Those hopefully will be, when they re-release the DVD, that'll be the extras.
Right. Cute.
Oh. Let me introduce my communication and work partner, Emily Anderson.
Thank you, Mark.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Jernigan.
I am totally curious about what you think is interesting about my blog writings.
I really enjoy your blog. I read it all the time. What I like about you, and I guess I want to say that it almost seems to be your mission in life. I mean, what gets you excited, what you're passionate about, is writing about love and connection with people, and opening one's heart. And you have a way of writing about it really directly. And I feel like I learned something reading your blog entries. It gives me a lift. It opens my heart just reading your writings often. And you know, I think we share that we are both interested in that subject of the connection between people and the connection on a heart level, particularly between people. But what kind of amazes me and what I find so interesting about your writing is that you get to write about it very directly and very explicitly, whereas in my writing, as I said, it's kind of more between the lines. I don't know really how to write and to speak about these things so directly. I kind of it's around the edges of my writing, but I really appreciate what your life seems to be about, and it's inspiring to me. And I mean, in certain ways, you're like a role model to me in living life that way. It encourages me. I mean, I feel like we're both on the same page.
Yes. We are on. Yes, we are on the same page with a shared mission of connection between people.
Mm-hmm. Like John Lennon. Remember John Lennon had his song, "You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one."
I am totally a dreamer. I am totally a dreamer, and we must not wake up.
Well, we'll keep dreaming together.
I have just two. I have just two more questions and an ending prayer.
Oh, an ending prayer. Yeah. Okay.
At what? At what time of year do you feel most hopeful?
Wow. Well, one of the reasons I love being in Vermont is I love the 4 seasons. I thrive on the changing of the seasons. But my favorite time of year, the time of year where I feel most hopeful about my own soul's journey and the fate of the world and the fate of all my loved ones, is springtime. I love early spring when things are just awakening. I love being outside then. I love driving then. But part of what makes it so beautiful and so enlivening is that you know the hot summer's coming, and then the fall and things will die off. So I don't think I'd be happy in, LA where the weather is perfect every day. I wouldn't want to know what to do. So, yeah, I'm a springtime guy.
Me. Me too.
Oh.
What? Do. What do you think the world needs for it to achieve its goals as a planet?
You certainly saved the biggest question for the last, didn't you? Well, on the deepest level, it's going to take a greater expression of love. And this applies, I feel, it applies to all of us in whatever we do. Whether we're driving a cab, whether we're washing the floors, whether we're taking care of our infant children, whether we're leading demonstrations, whether we're the President of the United States or an accountant. I feel like for the planet to prosper and really survive with all the challenges going on, it takes all of us reaching in to our better angels and really bringing it out and really expressing and really doing everything we can in our own world, which sometimes could seem, oh, what can I do? My world is so small. But it's not small. To me, the great leaders in my lifetime of, Gandhi or Mandela or Martin Luther King, why they changed the world is how they lived their life in every moment. That they really strove, there weren't saints by any means, but they strove to bring the best that they had in every interaction, in every way. And, that's in my last column, actually it came out yesterday, I believe. I haven't seen it yet in printed form, but it was about, racism and how we respond to that, and it matters. Just changing one person, just interacting on an individual basis, one-to-one, it's through that the world could achieve its goals, that, my God, we could be living in paradise again. But it's going to take all of us in our own way meeting that challenge. That's my prayer.
I love all that you said. And my prayer is this. May we almightily move into love and never leave.
Amen. Beautiful.
Amen. And amen in the mass, dear friends. I have loved interviewing you.
Thank you. It's the best interview I ever had.
Oh.
Gentle typing, you can be more accurate.
Oh shucks.
Oh, shucks.
Thank you viewers and CCTV. We will be back with another episode of The Uttering Mind soon.
Namaste.